So today, on this wonderful day, our class is collectively celebrating the upcoming wedding. And one of our participants, Jenna, is getting married this Sunday. And I know so many of us want to be there and we can't be there. And so I figured since Jenna's here within the week before her wedding and she's getting married to this wonderful man named Shmuel, that I would talk about Elul and marriage so that we together can wish her Mazel Tov, but not just Mazel Tov in the way that our class knows how to wish Mazel Tov, through the form of conversation and learning and growing. So Judaism has a lot of conversation about mnemonics, connections. There's all different ways within a Torah context to be able to create connections. For example, one of them is a mnemonic. And uh, famously, probably the most famous mnemonic for the month of Elul is uh, a quote from the Song of Songs: Ani lidodi vidodi li. I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. This idea of Ani lidodi vidodi li is what I want to focus on today. I think it's the very essence of a relationship. It's a mutually symbiotic fusion of two forces. I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. So, first, if you look at and analyze the verse, first, there are two distinct personalities. There's I, and there's my beloved. Then the I, my personality, takes the initiative and reaches to my beloved, and in turn, my beloved responds to me. Very simple. I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. It seems to be, if I didn't know very much about relationships, I would say, yeah, that describes a relationship in its simplest, most existential form. But I think this idea of ani ledodi vidodi li emphasizes something a little greater. It emphasizes something that is not spoken a lot about in our society, but spoken a lot about in Kabbalah. And that is that a relationship is a reflection. You and your beloved, they mirror each other like the face reflected in water. One heart is reflected in another. I think there's a quote in Proverbs. King Solomon talks about this idea of one heart being reflected in another. Love, love elicited is in direct proportion to love given. So when I am to my beloved will be to me the same way that I am to my beloved, so will my beloved be to me. Think of love as your reflection. And I think you'll see it a little differently, because what ends up happening is you look into the eyes of your beloved and you see yourself. Now, sometimes you look into the eyes of your beloved and you see yourself in a positive light. And sometimes you see yourself in a negative light, but it's seeing yourself, not the other. So it's so easy to blame the other, but really, you're just seeing your reflection. You're seeing yourself. That's the basic Kabbalistic idea. Another idea in Kabbalah is the idea connected to Elul, that Elul In Elul, ani v'dodi li, I am to my beloved as my beloved is to me, teaches that love is about initiating. First, ani lidodi, first, I am to my beloved, and that is the catalyst for my beloved to me. What does that teach? It teaches that love is proactive. It's not reactive. It's not passive. If you want love in your life, don't stand on the sidelines. Don't protect yourself from being hurt and wait for someone to love you. Love and experiencing love, you must give. You must initiate. That's what it means to love. It's to initiate giving. And when you do, it's not what you look for. It just happens to be a byproduct of it, is that the love comes back to you. This is all wonderful. 3 beautiful ideas about love. But I have a question. And this is the question that I think is still looming after this idea. How is it possible for 2 distinct entities to become one? Can 2 people actually retain their distinct personalities and truly love each other? It's one thing to say that for love, we pay a price. There's unfortunately this very negative attitude about marriage and love that is very prevalent in our society. People say, even on a more refined level, that love, the price of relinquishing independence and compromising your identity for, but that's what love brings. It's a result of it. But what if we can love without compromising our individuality? Kabbalah talks about love, and it says that it's unity. And true unity in this context is the fusion of 2 souls in one seamless union. They both remain intact while joining as one. Actually, I'll tell you something fascinating, at least fascinating for me. The entire study of Kabbalah, the entire study of Jewish mysticism comes to resolve this very paradox, to teach us how humans can develop a relationship with God. That's the entire purpose of the study of Kabbalah. That the quest to discover divine unity in a pluralistic universe. And marriage becomes the metaphor that Kabbalah uses for this relationship with God. I mean, as different as 2 people might be, they're still both human. They're still both finite. They're still both physical beings. Some with more similarities than differences, some maybe with more differences than similarities, and both need love. But when you're talking about a relationship with God, like God and the universe, they're distant entities. They have nothing in common. Actually, I would say the contrary. They are diametrically opposed. God is infinite. The universe is finite. God is the affable creator, and we're fragile creatures. So Kabbalah creates this effort that is going to be probably the most difficult effort that can be created. How do we take 2 distinct, diametrically opposed entities and create a love and create a fusion? And I'll say above all, our existential, our dependence, our existence is absolutely different than the divine non-existential, non-independent existence. The concept in Kabbalah, if you're interested in it, it's Metzias Bilti Metzias Nimsa. For those of you who want the Hebrew, if you don't want the Hebrew, just forget about what I said. So how is the question? How is it possible to unite two opposite realities? The Kabbalists, the mystics, they lay out an elaborate system which allows us the ability to achieve what they call divine unity, Hashem Echad, to achieve divine unity in the universe. Like stepping stones, the process of creation, called the cosmic order, enables us to climb the ladder that marries heaven and earth, that marries human and God, that marries finite and infinite. The first step of this process is something we've spoken about quite a few times in this class, but I'll remind you, the process is called tzimtzum, concealment. In order for there to be a relationship, we first need independence. We need an I who reaches to my beloved. Ani lidodi. We need an I who reaches to my beloved. And in the presence of the divine, infinite omnipresence, no independent entity can arise. So what does tzimtzum do? What does this concealment do? What does this contraction do? It allows room for our independent consciousness to emerge. But the tzimtzum is not literal. It's only a state of concealment. And it only affects the outermost layers of consciousness. The metaphor is light, right? The outermost layers of the light, not the higher states. And definitely not on an unconscious level. So I don't want to go into this, but I'll add a dimension to it. The non-literal tzimtzum is real. It's not an illusion. It's the independent reality that it creates is real, not just our perception. So despite the concealment, we always have the ability to connect and to integrate our lives with the divine, with God, with the divine essence, with the divine light. But the tzimtzum only explains the possibility for potential integration, not how to actually achieve it. So the Kabbalists teach this. The ultimate application of divine unity is that the unity must permeate every fiber of existence, not just its spirit, not just its shape, not just the form and function, and not just in general terms, but every dimension of the universe, from energy to matter, from matter of energy to matter of matter, every single spark, everything, down to the dust on the ground, everything, the dirt that you're sweeping, everything has a divine dimension that's waiting to be released. And in Kabbalah, it's explained with this very elegant structure called the cosmic order. It's comprised of energies, lights, and containers, which correspond with, and they're the root of the energy and the matter of the universe. And just to focus on it for a second, by understanding the interplay between light and container, and how each of them interact with their respective divine source, we can learn how to marry heaven and earth. We can learn how to integrate every aspect of our beings with higher purpose. and ultimately with God. So the relationship between these forces teach us how to develop the relationship between our bodies and souls, between our involvements in the physical worlds with our spiritual endeavors. Through that, we learn how to develop and expand our own material containers and fuse them with in the metaphor, the lights of spirituality. Where do we begin? How do we begin the process? From our perspective, with the human soul. Because the human soul is created in the divine image. And the mystics explain, the Kabbalists explain, that the soul manifests and mirrors the divine energy. That each person's soul is a reflection, think back to the beginning of our class, is a reflection, it's a microcosm of God's personality, quote unquote. And not just in a general sense, but the distinct personality of each soul is rooted in the distinct personality of the lights, which have defined properties. There are actually 7 options regarding the extent of these light properties. And those reflect in different levels of the unity that can be achieved. But the final consensus, and I'm really encapsulating a lot of ideas in Kabbalah in one little idea here, but the final consensus there is that the lights have individual properties and they allow our unique personalities to find divine expression. So the spiritual forces within the material world, within this world, can be aligned to their respective divine roots with all the details. And that's rooted in the divine light. It's called the Kav. It's this thin ray of light that is pierced through the Tzimtzum, whose source is the light before the Tzimtzum, for those of you who want the deeper idea. And the divine power to create the infinite, it's called Koach Habli Gvul. Now, it's beautiful. If you understood that, I'm very happy for you. If you didn't understand that, maybe we'll have to unpack that in the future a little more. And that's the soul. But what about the body and matter of the universe? You see, it wasn't just the soul that was created in the divine image. It's the human body that's created in the divine image. Every aspect of matter is shaped by the hand of God. Not only light, but also the containers, also the body, also the physical in this world. The physical things. This is what's unique about Jewish spirituality. We believe that there's God in the physical. The moment you pick up a book that is a Siddur or a Torah and you study from it, that paper, that tree, that wood becomes holy. And if you wanted to discard of it, you'd have to bury it, because that's what we do with all holy things. We bury them. So not only the spirit, but also the structure of existence is rooted in the source with godlike features, which we have to reveal. In Kabbalistic terms, the containers of existence are rooted in the divine containers of Atzilut. If you go back to the 5 worlds, the highest being Atzilut, that's the source of the physical, is in the highest world. And those, in turn, are the reflection of the containers of Adam Kadmon, of the original person. And that originates from the letters of the Rishimu, the residue that remained after, but was unaffected by the Tzimtzum. And that's rooted in the divine power to create the finite, which is called Koach HaGvul. When you take into account that the light and the container join together until they become one, I think, for those of you who like science, we can begin to understand E equals mc squared. we can understand how energy and matter are actually one and the same. And this, and I'm really bringing a lot of ideas together in one small little lesson here, but this is the way the Kabbalists explain the very fabric of existence. This is how Kabbalah explains matter and energy. That matter and energy can be integrated with God, with the divine. It's not just a divine essence, which transcends all definitions, which transcends all structures, enables the fusion of matter and spirit. That would imply that the fusion is actually the result of the essence's power, despite the limits of existence. The ultimate purpose is that the universe, on its own terms and by the standards of its own parameters, contains the divine. And that is ultimate unity, not simply on God's terms, but also on the terms of existence. And such unity can only be achieved when we recognize that in the personality of existence, there are glimmers of God. There are glimmers of a divine. And discovering the divine within the properties of our universe is the most magnificent effort we can undertake, transforming life into this majestic journey. And now you're thinking, where's Rabbi going with this? And how does this have to do with Jenna and Shmuel? Because the ultimate manifestation of divine unity is human relationships. In the ways of love and marriage, the lights and containers that teach us how we can fuse our lives with God teach us how we can discover true unity. They teach us this while maintaining our individuality and our interpersonal relationships. I'll give you a good analogy. I think the best analogy I can think of for this: music. Music, the power and the beauty of a melody is dependent on each note maintaining its individuality and playing its unique sound. And simultaneously, each note is completely fused with all the others, all complementing each other without in any way compromising on each of the notes' distinct identities. So the same synthesis, harmony out of diversity. Harmony out of diversity, that is our goal. And we can see this in the symmetry of every healthy organism, of every healthy system, from the human body to the extraordinary design of nature. A true relationship is ani l'dodi v'dodili. It's a fusion of two. I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. Two distinct individuals with different bodies, with different souls, joined together in one beautiful, seamless union. Neither is compromised, neither is diminished. It's a transcendent power that enables the fusion, but it also manifests in the individual personalities. As they remain intact, they also can recognize on their own individual terms that love, that beautiful love. I am to my beloved, not I am to my other, not I am to my person, I am to my beloved. That is the true idea of love. And my beloved is to me. That is the ultimate expression of individuality. So for all those that say, oh, this fusion, it's all about losing independence. No, it's about gaining independence. Now, for you and I, in this month of Elul, we have the opportunity to create, to mend, and to renew relationships. This is the beautiful opportunity to be able to tap into, I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me in its purest, most beautiful sense. And so, on behalf of all of us here, we so wish, Jenna and Shmuel, that we can be there with you in person. And we are there with you definitely in spirits and in learning and in our love to you. And Hashem should bless you both. The blessing that we give is a binyan ade ad. It means that it should be a everlasting edifice. And that through this fusion of I am to my beloved and my beloved is to me, two distinct humans, being able to be able to join their lives together, Hashem should bless that the love, the beloved that you experience now, you should bottle it all up. And then you should let it out slowly, slowly, time released over 50, 60, 70, 80, 120 years. All of our collective blessings.